In this episode, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how we've increased our website traffic by 235% last month alone, and how we also plan to continue this momentum. So if that sounds interesting, stick around because that's what we're going to cover on this episode. Hey, before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on YouTube, make sure that you click the little bell icon so you get notified when I go live with a new video. Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Amazing Seller Podcast. This is episode number 816. And like I said, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how this even happened. I'm also going to be sharing with you some things that you can learn and take away from what we've learned. All right. Now, we've tested this on 2 separate brands from scratch in the past 6 months. And right now, we're starting to see that hockey stick growth. And well, I'll tell you exactly why here in a minute. But what I want you to understand is that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. All right. When we are building any type of assets, it takes some time. It's like planting seeds out in the garden. They don't just grow overnight, right? We got to water them. We got to nurture them. We've got to fertilize them. And then some are going to do well and some just might not. Well, I'm going to be sharing with you what has worked and what we're going to be working on more moving forward because we've discovered this stuff as we've been building this out. Now, the other thing I want to say is if you are listening to this and you have a brand already, but you're not getting website traffic, you really need to consider how to create assets in your business to drive the right targeted people over to your website. Because the more traffic that we get, monetization becomes really, really easy. Now, the question I have for you is if you're listening to this or if you're watching this and you have a website and it's not really getting much traffic or you haven't put in that much work, you're going to want to start and you're going to want to pay attention to this episode because I think you'll be blown away. How would you like to have over 7,000 people come to your website every single month? And you don't have to do any more work other than what you're doing right now. And I mean, well, we are doing some work, but it's not much once you learn that process. Or how would you like to have, 13,960 people come to your website, which I have another brand that we're doing this exact same thing on. We hit that number, and that number is probably going to double next month. Oh, wait a minute. Let me give you another scenario. How about 180,000 people that come to your website and visit your pages? How would that be? Well, that's another brand that we've been doing this over the course of the past 3 years, and it works, guys. It works. But you know what? We got to focus on the assets, the right assets, and that's what I want to share with you. Now, whenever I explain this stuff to anyone, I probably should throw it out there. People say, well, Scott, do you have a blueprint? Do you have a roadmap? And what we have is what we call the playbook. And this is exactly what we're following to a T. This is what we're also following inside of Brand Creators Academy. All right. But if you want to get your hands on the playbook for just $4.99, we're making it available. You can go to brandcreatorsbook.com. Again, that's brandcreatorsbook.com. Little shameless plug there, but it's $4.99. All right. So if you want a copy, it's 107 pages, detailed 6-part process, but this is exactly what we're following. All right. So let's dig in. All right. So the first thing, like I already said, we received on this website, which is just about 6 months old, 7,510 page views. Okay. Now, organic is what we're really looking for. And what I mean by that is, what is organic traffic? What does it actually mean? Well, when someone keys in a search term, okay, how to catch more bass in a pond, that's a long tail keyword, we are getting found by that search. But the cool thing is when you put out one piece of content targeting a specific long tail, you're going to get miscellaneous keywords that also bring in traffic, but it takes a little bit of time. But here's the deal. Last month, okay, or actually the month before last, because I'm doing this off of a 30-day. So the time that you're listening to this, it's middle of April. This is for March, okay? But before that, in February, our numbers were, and I'm looking here, 873 organic people that came to the site. 873. Still not bad, okay? Now, this past month, 2,928 unique people came over to the website. Okay, 2,928 from 873. Okay, that's where we come up with that 235% increase. Okay, now we're on track right now, and I'm actually going to pull up the analytics here, so I can see them and I can give you an accurate number, because there's a bunch of metrics whenever you look at the analytics in Google. But those are the important ones. The important ones to me are organic traffic, new people coming over, being discovered by the content that we're creating. Okay. But the other one that's really important is page views. All right. So 7,510 page views. Why is that important? Well, because once we get to a certain number, we can start monetizing that traffic. And it's generally about 10,000 page views. Okay. Now I've got another little update here. In the second brand that we've been building as a case study inside of the Academy, that one there has crossed the 10,000 page view mark. It's actually at 13,960 page views, okay? But the number I want to, again, emphasize here is organic. So organic for this brand was February was 4,462. In March, it was 7,506. So an increase of just over 68%. All right. So, and that's happening month over month. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be able to get 235% increase all the time, but it's looking like we're going to get over 50 to 60%, which is amazing. So once you get up into those numbers of like 4,462 to now it's 7,506, but then that also equates to 13,906 page views, which the time of me recording this, we just turned on Ezoic ads. Okay, so what Ezoic ads does is it will put ad placements there, and then this way here we can start to monetize it. I'm proud to say and happy to say we have made our first dollar with that website. And that's awesome. And all we had to do is put on some ads. So I think right now the time, and it's only been running for like less than 24 hours, like $2.70, something like that. But the brand that I talked about in the beginning, where I said we've also been following this for 3 years on another brand that gets 180,000 page views, that one there is doing anywhere from $3,500 to $4,500. We've even touched 5,000 in the peak seasons. So that's what we're talking about. And that's just from ad networks. So again, that's just kind of the gist that I wanted to give you. But let me give you an idea of what we did. So this way here, you can model it. All right. Because I want this to be a takeaway for you guys too. So, and I'm going to do updates here for you guys so you guys can hear what we're doing and kind of what the results are, good or bad. We'll share them with you. There's one thing that we did over the past month and a half, which I believe definitely helped us with this. All right. And I'm going to share that with you here in a minute. All right. So what did we do over the course of, well, since we started it, we've just really identified the market, and it's a niche market. And then from there, we just started to create assets and resources for that market, basically content, written content. We're having writers do it for us. And then from there, we're publishing it on a regular basis. But the important thing here to take away from this is we're not going after it's got to be this epic content that just is like this massive undertaking, right? That you have to go out and create this big blog post. No, these are like 1,500 word to 2,000 word articles that answer specific questions. All right. Answering specific questions. And I'll give you some examples here in a minute. But we created 15 additional articles. And on, let's see, on the first site, the one that has a little bit of less traffic actually, has more articles on it right now. That one there, I think, has 127-ish articles on that one. And we've been doing that for 6 months. Okay. The other one that has more traffic has less articles. And we just touched 100 articles on that site. Okay. But it's starting to really hockey stick up. Okay. So that's what we've done. We've added about 15 new articles, and we're doing that every single month. All right. So just to give you an idea, we came up with this idea of creating what we call content trees. So, and I'll give you an example. So let's say I wanted to write a longer blog post or a piece of content that was all about how to catch more bass. So that would look like 27 ways to catch more bass, guaranteed, or something like that, right? And then that would be a long post. But in that post, we're going to talk about one way is to go and fish in a pond and make sure that it's a smaller pond, right? But in that article, I can also link out to another smaller post that I write, how to catch bass in a pond, right? So that would be what we call a more or less like a staple post. It's like a supportive post. The bigger post is the tree. And then we're going to create all these limbs off of the tree, or these roots that are going to feed the tree. Okay. So we did that, and actually we documented it and everything inside the academy. And we found like 17 articles that supported this one piece of content. Well, we went to work and started creating all of that. We're already starting to rank, get this, we're already starting to rank on page 1 for some of these terms. And some of these terms get 1,500 to 2,500 searches per month. All right. And that's just after that one keyword. If we get found for miscellaneous keywords, which we will, that's where it can really accelerate. So again, I want to call a timeout here. And if my buddy, Kevin Sanderson was here, I'd have him blow the whistle. Here's the deal. When you are creating these assets, you have to keep in mind when you're publishing content, you are creating what I like to call evergreen assets. These are assets that are going to bring people over to your website, and it's going to happen now, but also in the future. And a lot of times it can be 10 years down the line, you can still be getting traffic from these pieces. So this is why I'm so excited about this, because we're seeing that hockey stick. And the reason is because we've been doing it now for 6 months. And a lot of people don't get through the first month or first week, right? They give up too early. You got to put in the time and you got to put in the work. All right. So that's how a content tree would look like. So again, following every single thing that we talk about here on the podcast or in the playbook or any of that, it's exactly what we're talking about. It's not complicated. All right. Now, to give you some ideas for content, because a lot of people always want to know this, and I've brought this up before, but I'm going to bring it up again because it's important. We look at it as like content buckets. So there's 3 different buckets that we are focusing on. One, and the one that's the easiest, is questions. Okay, go to Google, type in how to catch more bass, and then let it autofill. Those are your questions, okay? Or it could be, can you use rubber worms to catch more bass? That's a question, right? So that's the questions bucket. Then we move into the how-to bucket, which a how-to could also be a question, right? But the how-to is more like instructional. Takes a little bit more work, a little bit more time, but they're also very beneficial. All right. And then the third one is product-based bucket. Okay. Where you're going to be talking about maybe the 5 rubber worms that always work, or maybe the shootout between this brand, and this brand. Those are great, by the way, this versus this. We're getting a lot of traffic through this versus this posts. So that's how you can create some really good content. And that's what we're doing. That's all we're doing. Okay. There's no magic tricks here, guys. Like, I'm giving you exactly what we're doing. Now, of course, inside the academy, you get to see us doing it. You get to see the niche that we're working in and all that stuff. But at this point, you just need to take this concept and run with it. All right. So, okay. So that's it. Okay. So now number 2, let's move on to number 2. I've got like 5 points here. Okay. Number 1, we created more articles, more content. We filled out our content tree, and we did it. We put out 15 articles. Okay. Now moving on to number 2, the one brand, the one that actually gets less traffic, we've built an email list of 9,332. I think now it's down to about 8,700-ish because we're constantly pruning the list. That's something else we teach. That's something else that we do. But we've been emailing at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. That's been consistent, and that's helped because then we push traffic to the blog post and we get traffic. Now, those organic numbers are not counting, okay, the email people that are going over there. That's why I like looking at organic numbers versus just overall all users, okay? So those organic ones are people that found us through search, okay? Important to know that. All right, number 3, and this is a new one, and this is a big one, and we're really excited about this, and that is Pinterest, okay? Now, not all markets support themselves to be on Pinterest, but ours does in both cases. And actually all 3 cases. So what we have done is actually I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, Alexis, who she's, been doing Pinterest for a little while, and she's, kind of got the hang of it, but she's learning. And I said to her, I want you to test out your stuff that you're doing on these 2 separate brands that you have nothing to do with. And let's just test it. And so she did. And one of them's a little bit newer or a little bit older than the other that she's been starting on, but about a month and a half. And we are getting now on the one brand over 1,000 visitors per month just from Pinterest. And that's growing every day. All right. Now the other one, that one there is about, I think it's right around 800-ish, but that's growing as well. Every single day, it seems like it's growing. Okay. Now those are link clicks from Pinterest. So we can talk about impressions and everything on Pinterest, which to me, they don't mean anything. What means something is actually getting people to click on your Pinterest pin and then go from there to a link click over to your website. That's what we care about. We can see all that in the analytics inside of Google Analytics. But that has been really, really good. It's been so good that I had my daughter create a mini training inside the academy and teaching exactly what she has done, which has been amazing. But the gist of it is this. You basically create your own Pinterest account, your business account. You set up a bunch of different boards, like 10 different boards of different topics in your market. Okay. And then you start pinning other people's stuff to fill out your boards. And then you add a few of your own boards. And then you take your content, you create some pins, some pinnable images, and you embed them on your website. And then you also link from Pinterest over to your blog. And that's basically the gist of it. All right. Now, of course, there's some things you got to do and all that stuff to set everything up, but that's the basis of it. Okay. Nothing black hat, gray hat, none of that stuff. Just good old fashioned, get in there and get your hands dirty. Okay. That's about it. All right. So, and I'll give you guys more reporting on that as we start to learn more, we start to get more traffic, and we're just learning all the time. So that one there is exciting. Okay. Number 4 is we're being consistent. And that one there, I know people are like, well, Scott, yeah, that's not really like something you're doing. No, it is. All right. Because a lot of people, that I talk to, I'm like, how's it going? They're like, well, I don't know if the content's right for my market. And I'm like, why not? And then, we'll go ahead and, we'll look at it or whatever. And then we'll be like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, it's totally, you can do that. And they're like, well, I've done some articles, but I'm not really getting any traffic. And I'm like, well, how many did you do? 6. That's not enough, guys, right? Like you got to do more than 6. You can't just do 6 push-ups and expect to see results, right? You got to do more. So consistency is huge. All right. So I would recommend doing this. And I did a podcast episode on this, and that was the 52X strategy. And what that is you commit to 52 pieces of content, 1 per week for the next year. And you just stick to that. All right. And I would love to challenge you to do that. All right. And if you do, come back to this episode and then leave me a comment or let me know that you're doing this. All right. Because I want to follow up with you, because a lot of people will start it, but they won't finish it. There's something to finishing things, guys. There's something to taking action. All right. You guys hear me say that all the time. So being consistent is huge. And then the last one, number 5 here, is you got to be patient. You got to be patient. The first 3 months, we didn't see any traffic. It was like crickets. You don't see anything. You gotta let the seeds sprout, and you gotta let them, grow a little bit. And some are gonna do okay and some aren't. And then once you start getting the data after you've been patient, we can start to learn from that. We're like, whoa, wait a minute. That right there opened up a whole nother area of the market that I wasn't even thinking about. Like I didn't realize there was all this other content about how to catch more, more bass in, a lake. Like I didn't know there was that much. I thought it was just ponds, right? So as you start to see stuff that's starting to work, you can start to mine a little bit deeper in that niche or sub-niche or subtopic. So you got to be patient. I mean, that's the one thing I would say. You got to give it 6 months before you can even start to base your decision on anything. I think that goes for even if you're selling physical products. You can't expect that you're going to take, this one widget and just launch it and it's going to just be this home run. And if it is, you got to be careful because who knows, right? It could get knocked off. You could have a problem with your suppliers, or right now when I'm airing this, we have this coronavirus thing going on. So we can't get inventory, or we can't ship in inventory, or you can't ship it to your customer, whatever. Those are big problems. When we have our content sites built out like this, traffic is still coming. All right. Like right now, our numbers are increasing for traffic, not declining. All right. So just keep that in mind. You got to be patient, even though it's not the get rich quick thing. Nothing is that is quality to me. All right. And something that's more future proof. All right. So we're going to be definitely reporting on this again. So I'll do another update for these case studies. So this way here, you get a glimpse of what we're working on and how it's working. And hopefully you'll learn from it. And hopefully you'll be inspired to do it yourself. I would love you to do that. So the takeaway here, again, is you just got to get out there and you got to start creating some content in your market. All right. That's the big takeaway. But let me give you what this looks like in 6 steps. All right. Number 1, you need to know your market. Number 2, you need to create content. Number 3, use Pinterest. I would try it. If your market's there, go for it. Okay. Number 4, build a list. Okay, number 5, start monetizing after you hit 10K. Don't do it too early, okay? And then number 6, stay the course. Stay the course, commit to it, okay? And if you do, I'm telling you, the rewards will be there. But you gotta stay the course. You gotta be willing to put it out there, all right? And don't worry about it being perfect. That's another thing that I see all the time is people, their perfectionisms, and perfectionism just kills them. So you don't want to do that, all right? So hopefully this has helped you. Hopefully this has inspired you. And again, if you want help with this, you can just basically go through our playbook, all right? I'm giving you the playbook of everything that we're doing right here. It's all detailed out in the playbook. If you want a copy of that, go over to brandcreatorsbook.com. Again, that's brandcreatorsbook.com. The show notes can be found at theamazingseller.com/816, and you can get all the show notes, the transcripts, the links, everything we talked about over there. All right, guys, so that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, remember, I'm here for you, I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to, come on, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now go get 'em.